Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So today our group will be present about our group project, which is include 2 lab activities in this tutorial. For the first section, we gonna make a tutorial of N-Scale apps. So before we go through for the tutorial, I will be explain about Stitch and Scale apps first. So in this section, we learn how to deploy an apps without a downtime or a service interruption. So we also can learn how to rapidly roll back a new deployment to the previous version if it causes problems. And user app service, we also can use the Azure app service to scale a web app to match planned seasonal throughput requirement and also meet demand during short-term peak events. This module also describe how to scale up a web app onto more powerful hardware to meet future requirements. So for the first tutorial, we're gonna create a deployment slot. So here Haris will be help me to show the tutorial. So we're gonna start with create a deployment slot first. As usual, we need to sign in the Azure portal first, and then we need to create a resource. So go to create, and then for the project detail, we need to choose Azure subscription 1, and for the resource group, just enter MS Learn slots. And for the region, just choose Asia Pacific. For the next step, after we finish create resource, we need to go to web by select the web app, then create a web app, then choose the resource group that we create just now, which is the MS Learn slots, and then put in the name of our topic. We can put group project CP, then just follow the setting that I will provide here. Then just key in the setting, the runtime start, the operating system, the region, by choosing or select a region near you. Then accept the default if you need to accept by follow the setting. Then this one, choose standard. This one, standard. Then next step, go to the deployment. Then choose enable for authentication setting, which is for the basic one. Then go to the next step, networking, next monitoring and secure. We need to enable application inside, choose no. And next we go to review and create, and just double check for the setting that we already do, then just click create. After the deployment successful, so this is the web app that we already deployed just now. So for the next step, we go to configure Git deployment. So we can use any of the usual deployment tools for our web app and its deployment slots. In this tutorial, we will set up the web app and how to use local Git repository. So we go to the web app service page and go to the deployment. Select deployment center. Yes. Okay. Okay. On the setting, for source, select local Git and save. Okay. On the result deployment center pane, select local Git or FTPS credential tabs. Okay, under user scope, enter a username and password. So we choose Azure user CP1 as our username. The password, we just put password and save. So after finish, after we finish configure Git deployment, we go to the Cloud Shell, because in this section we will configure the Git client and clone the web app source code. Enter the following code that I will provide here. Copy and paste edited code into the Cloud Shell. Create a folder for the source code by run following command. Yes. Then next step is clone the source for the web app. Run the following command. Git clone by have the URL. So after we finish put the command, we need to refresh the page so that the URL should be pop up at the web app. So here our URL. For the next step is configure a Git remote to deploy the app to production. So to use Git to deploy the source code to the web apps production slot, we need to set up apps Git URL as a remote repository. So by that, we need to open the web app. So we already at the web app page and go to overview. Go to the essential. So we already at the essential section. Select the copy to clipboard icon and not the URL contain your deployment name for the web apps. So we can proceed for the next step. We can put the next command. So Haris, you just enter the production in Cloud Shell. Just copy following command and configure the Git remote with a name production. Replace Git clone URL with the content that we copied to the clipboard from the previous step. Then to deploy the web app, the production slot, run the following command, which is the Git push production. When we prompt for the password, enter the deployment password that we create previously. We finish deploy the web app to the production slot by put the Git push production just now. We will open the URL so we can paste into a browser by open the URL in the new tab. Okay, after we paste the URL, so here is the output of the page. You can proceed to the next tutorial. by create a new staging slot. So for the new web app, we will create only one slot, the production slot. So we will deploy a source code to this slot, then create a deployment slot, which is the stage, which is we can stage new version of the web app. Okay, so we need to select add slot, then in the name field enter staging, accept the default for clone setting, then select add. For the next step, we need to set up Git deployment for the staging slot. For this step, we need to set up the new slot to use Git deployment. So just like we did for the production slot. So we just tap the group project, cp, and then on the overview pane, choose deployment center. On the setting, for source, select local git. In the top menu bar, you need to save. Okay. On deployment center, okay, wait, still loading. Okay. You need to select local git for the deployment center. And then enter a new username and password and save. Alright, so after that we can proceed to deploy the apps to the staging slot. So to use the Git client to deploy source code to the new slot, we need to add an extra remote to the Git configuration. So in the Azure portal, on the staging web overview page, in the essential, okay, select the copy to clipboard icon for the Git clone URL. We need to open the Cloud Shell to enter the following command that I will provide here. So then we need to modify the app source code and deploy the app to the staging slot. And next, make a small change to the web app and then use Git to deploy the new version to the staging slot. So we need to enter code, and then in the list of file, we need to expand demo app, apps, service web.net, .NET get started, ASP.NET get started, view, and home. Then select index.chhtml. Then locate the following code, which is that I will provide here. Aris will paste. Okay. Then replace the code. Okay, already replaced. And save the changes by press Ctrl S, and then press Ctrl Q to close. Okay, next, still in the Cloud Shell, we need to run the command which is cd demo app service -web.net.get to commit the new version of the app to Git and deploy it to the staging slot when prompt enter the deployment password. Then hit push stage, then enter the password. Okay. so we already finished. So we can browse the staging slot. So now we can view the new version of the web app by browsing the staging deployment slot URL. So at the Azure portal, we can go to overview for this overview page for the staging slot. We can select browse. The new version of the web app will appear in this browser tab. Okay, so at this point, the staging slot has the new version of the code and you can run tests on it. So remember, the production slot has the previous web app version and user cannot see the new code. So we finished for the first section for create deployment slots. So we move for the next sections of the tutorial, which is deploy a web app by using deployment slots. So for this, Haris will guide you guys. For this tutorial. So Haris, you can take.
So for the next part of the tutorial, we are going to deploy a web app by using deployment slots. When we are ready to swap to slots, we need to make sure we have applied the correct configuration to the swap slots. Suppose we have finished testing version 2 of our social media web app. Now we want to deploy that version to production. We want to further streamline deployment by automatically swapping future versions of the app. So now we will learn how to swap it manually and automatically. So for the first step, we have to configure a slot setting. So before we deploy version 2 of the web, we need to configure a slot setting. The settings we configure here won't affect our demo application. The purpose of this tutorial is just to see how the configuration works when you swap slots. So we go to the overview page of the production, go to home, then we go to the production page, web app, and then we navigate to configuration pane. We go to the environment variables. And we have here application settings. So we want to add new application settings. For the first one, it is environment name _name with the value of production. And we want to check the box deployment slot setting to make this a slot setting. Then we click apply and we add another one, name add version, and the value is 1, and we just left it for unchecked. And then we can see the value here, 1 and production, and we click apply. Alright, now we repeat the same steps for the staging slot. And go to home, you can find on the resource list, go to environment variables, application settings, and we add, just like now, environment name, but for this one we put the value as staging, and we click on deployment slot setting, click on apply, and then we add another one, application setting, which is app version, and make it value as 2 to differentiate. Apply, you can see the value here, and now we apply it to the application settings, confirm. Alright, so now we are going to swap the slots. Now that we have tested the version 2 of the web app in the staging slot, we can deploy it by swapping the slots. So for the first step, we go to the home page to make sure we are on the production slot. And then under deployment, go to deployment slots. And we can see here on the top of the pane, there are a swap button. So we click on it. Make sure we are about to swap the staging and production slots. Notice how the swap will affect the settings, the old value and the new value. The value of app version setting will be changed between the slots, but the value of the environment slot setting won't be swapped. So now we click the start swap. Alright, so now we are done with swapping the slots. So we are going to see how it goes. So we go to the overview page of the production slot and we click on browse to see the result. So now, just now the web app version 2 is for the staging, but now it has changed to the production slot, and you can see for the production slot how it goes. Alright, so we can go into browse for the staging slot and see what's going to come. Yeah, so you can see here it is ASP.NET, which is previously from the production slots, but now it's being swapped. You can see from the side here. So we have done swapping the slots manually, but now we want to swap the slots automatically. So to configure the next step, to configure auto swap for the staging slot, suppose that now you are using deployment slots. We want to enable continuous deployment. So we will do this by using the auto swap feature on our web app. In a system that use auto swap, when we deploy new code to the staging slot, Azure automatically warms it up and deploys it to production by swapping the staging and production slot. To configure auto swap, follow this step. So the first one, we go to the configuration page of the staging slots, which we are here now. So we go to the configuration page, and then we navigate to the general settings, and we scroll down until we find deployment slot, and we turn on the auto swap and select production for the auto swap deployment slot, and then we click on save, confirm. So for the next step, now we want to deploy new code and auto swap it into production. So we want to see how it works. We will modify the code to create version 3 of the web app. When we deploy it to the staging slot, we will see an auto swap in action. So we're going to open the Cloud Shell, and then we are going to go into we are going to cd into app service web.net get started in the demo app, and then we're going to enter code in the command line, right, to switch. In code. Right, so we are already in the app service web.net get started directory. We expand the ASP.NET get started. We go to views, and then home, and then the index. And now we want to change the web app version 2, and we change it to 3. So to save the changes, we click on CTRL+S, and we exit it using the CTRL-Q. Alright. So now we are going to enter the following commands. version of Webpack 9, and we are going to enter git push staging. Enter the password when prompted. Going to wait for the deployment to finish. Alright, so now it's done. We can go to overview page of the production slot. Then we select browse. So now we are going to browse the production slot and see the changes that we made just now. So you can see here Webpack version 3, so it successfully and automatically swept the slot. And now we are going to roll back to the new version. Suppose that deploying version 3 of our app to production reveal an unexpected problem like bugs or anything. To quickly resolve it, we can just roll back to previous version of the site by swapping the slots again. So we can do it manually just like we do previously. So we go to the deployment slots of the production page, and then we can click on swap. I'm going to minimize this. Alright, so start swapping. Alright, now we have finished with swapping the slots, and we can navigate to the overview page of the production slot, and we will see if it happens successfully or not. So we browse on it. Alright, now it's already changed back to the version 2. So if there are any problem with the previous modified code, new app, the third version, so we can just roll back to the previous version. So that is all for our part in staging apps. We are going to move on scaling apps with other two presenters.
Okay, next we're gonna proceed to scaling up manually a web app. So first of all, we're gonna create a resource, and we're gonna select the web app and create. So here we're gonna setting some things up. So resource group, we're gonna select MS Learn Skill, and this one right here is just setting up the name. So the name already has been used, so this is just a re-recording on how to actually create a web app on the first step. So now we're gonna let it on default. For this runtime stack, we're gonna choose an ASP.NET version 3.5, and the other part we're gonna leave it on default. So now we can preview and create. So after we preview a little bit of the web app details, we can actually start to create and wait for the deployment. So next we're gonna open Azure portal again. So then we will go to the web app, and here I try to find the monitoring. So it was here, so we access the metric on monitoring. So here I'm gonna change the time to last 30 minutes and apply the local time changes. Then over here I'm gonna add a metric, and this one I'm gonna choose the CPU time, and we're gonna add another metric, and we're gonna pick this one. We have to pick the HTTP server error. I'm gonna add another metric, and this one is HTTP 4xx, and add another metric which is average response time. So now we're gonna save to dashboard, to Bidor dashboard. So there's no dashboard here, so I have to create a new one. So we're gonna create a new one which is private, and also we're gonna name our dashboard same name or anything that you want. So I'm gonna give my dashboard name hotel system. So I'm gonna create and pin. And after that, we're gonna access back to the dashboard, into the dashboard, and we're gonna select our chart, then we pin it.
Hi, Assalamualaikum. My name is Hauni. Now I will do the part 2 for lab 32 under lab 9-1. You can see right now on the Azure portal menu, that is the resource group that we created before for the part 1. So at the all the resources, click on the app service plan, and under the setting you need to setting the price tier to S1, which is right now it's already S1, and just apply the setting and save. At the app service plan, you should see the details of the pricing tier for your app service plan, that is S1, which is it's provide 100 Azure compute units. So here is the dashboard before for the part 1. And we need to change the instance count that from 5 to 1. So as you can see in this comment section, we will navigate to the test client directories to change to the current directory to the hotel reservation system test client, and we need to run the client app, and after a while we need to wait for 5 minutes while the app runs, and go to the chart showing metrics for the web app on the Azure portal dashboard, as you can see right here. So it navigate to the page for app service plan for the hotel system. After that, we want to scale up the app service plan. Under the settings, and select scale up app service plan, and choose the P2V2 pricing tier, and then select apply. But in this Azure subscription, for my subscription account, it cannot run perfectly because the region of the country already we select the default, and we need to change the region or SKU. Maybe it is another upgrade subscription for it. So after that, we can see the dashboard, but for right now I will show you the example of the dashboard that should be happen after confirm the selection to premium V2, P2V2 pricing tier. So here's the example. That's all from my part. Thank you.